Hey gang, it's Deltia from deltiasgaming.com here to bring you the Serpent Mantikora kill. This is the first boss in the Sanctum Ophidia trial, also known as SO Serpent trial. It's probably the hardest PvE content in the game right now. We haven't beaten hard mode, this is just the normal mode. I wanted to kind of show you and talk about the fight in itself. Usually I tank. This is from DPS perspective. The build I'm running here is going to be my Shooting Star Dragonknight Magicka based build. As you can see in the background, that's kind of the skill setup that I'm using. Now I change things in and out depending on the fights, and I'm not going to be using chains on a single target fight. But that's kind of the build that I have on my website that I'm going to be playing with during this video. Now, I'm going to try to comment on the video while we get going and kind of explain what the fight is and like how you can beat it and that sort of thing, and just kind of chime in on the DPS perspective. So let's get started. Alright, so here we are. So I have a weird kind of little setup here in my back bar with resto staff because I want to be able to off heal just in case we get sucked down. So we all jump to get the thing started. You can see we're in 3 separate groups: left, center, and right. So I'm in the far right group. Now why we spread out? There's a thing called popcorn which basically knocks people up in the air. So I'll explain it once we get started, then you can kind of see what I'm talking about. That's the big old Mantikora. You're looking at about 2 million hit points. So it takes a minute to kill this, about 10-minute fight. And here we go. First thing I do is let the tank get some aggro before I start yellowing in, because otherwise it'll be really bad. I'll probably get aggro. So I go in there, and then I want to position myself away from other people. Because as you can see, there's popcorn in the back. People are getting knocked up in the air. Essentially what happens is it picks people at random and knocks them in the air. So if you bring it to the tank gets stunned, can't CC break, that's a problem. So we're just nuking them down. That's the first step. Big red circle, you have to block. Everyone blocks. So that comes out. Then in the back there's a big huge hole that sucks people down. So that hole, you go down. Usually we send our Nightblades down there because Nightblades have really nice heals, off heals. And essentially what you're trying to do when you're down there is kill this little shadowy image guy. It's the Serpent of Mantikora. So you're trying to kill him while basically getting up as fast as you can. The whole group up here has to time ultimates and such and do a high amount of damage mitigation. You see that we're all stacked on each other because we need that healing springs to hit everyone. So when he drops these poison spears, all you do is kind of run back or dodge roll, or you can play it safe by blocking and walking back. I like to really get back in the action, so I just dodge roll, but it will stun you. So if you don't do it right, you're going to be stunned, you might just die. So sometimes you play it safe, sometimes not. So here we go. All we're doing is moving from one circle to the next, kind of following the tank. We stack up, drop ultimates, either Novas, Veil of Blades, whatever is needed to make sure that we stop the huge damage coming in from the Serpent. Once the bottom group kills the shadowy image, then they come up from the bottom when we can separate. So that's kind of what the bottom group is designed to do. Really kill that shadow image. And if they don't and they all die, then it's a problem. So as you can see, the boss is kind of stunned there. That's when we can separate pretty much after this big channel. Boom! So now we separate and we go back to the same position. And this is pretty much the fight from a DPS perspective. It's a much harder job being the tank, I think, or the healer. But you really got to have high DPS. I'm about 1,000 DPS right now. I die here, I think, in a little bit. But if you can do 1,000 in this fight, that's pretty good. Especially with blocking a lot of mechanics. So looks like he lost aggro there, dodge rolled, everything's good. So there's a lot of mechanics where you're blocking, you're moving, and you don't have a whole lot of time on target. So you have to maximize your time on target. And what I say by that is, even this popcorn. Every time I go up with the popcorn, I lose essentially 4 seconds or so of DPS time. So you have to make sure that you're on your most amount of time on target. And position yourself away from someone else. Now, see, I have that popcorn. I kind of dodge roll out of it. So I still have some time on target. We got a little hole back there. This is going to be kind of a trick to stack on this one. And it goes away. That's it. We stack and whack. So when I was first starting to do Serpent Trial, I would just block cast the entire time. I wouldn't spell sim. I didn't do a whole lot of damage. I mean, I was averaging like 600 or so. Now I really just do a lot more damage because I don't block cast. I weave and I use Equilibrium when it's needed, or Spell Symmetry to get magic back. I just go hardcore now because I have to get that damage down. The faster we can do damage, the better it's going to be. So I'm still maintaining about almost 1,000, 920 DPS looks like from the FTC display meter. And I'm reading that in the bottom middle of my screen. It's really small in this video, but I remember doing it in the fight and it wasn't too bad. The trick with Mantikora is it's really a tank and healer battle, really. I mean, the tank has to really know the mechanics and when to move appropriately. The healers and the DPS have to time their damage mitigation ultimates, otherwise the group's going to wipe. And it seems like it gets harder the longer it goes on. And we did this for quite a few hours before we got it down. So if you're new to Mantikora, you're new to Serpent Trial, give it a little bit of time. It's going to be hard. I know it was for me, especially in the tank role. It's very hard. So once again, he does a little stun thing once we come back, and we kind of separate and go back into our positions. This is a good time as a DPS to not get in popcorn, number one, like I did, but also do your spell sims. Get your resources up, and also keep your time on target. Even while running away from the Mantikora and splitting, make sure you're crushing and shocking the Mantikora, doing some type of damage. I don't care if it's race or caltrops or whatever you have to do, still look at the Mantikora. Your biggest threat to not getting this down as a DPS is time on target, making sure that you're spending every second you can doing damage. So when the tank gets popcorn, sometimes I help out and heal with just a healing springs, my back bar. That way I definitely can... you need a defensive minded fight here. So my back bar, I don't need AoE. There's no ads. This is strictly a single target fight. You could honestly replace Engulfing Flame with Flames of Oblivion and just run a really high DPS spec. It's big risk, big reward because you're going to have to spell sim all the time, but it could work out in your favor for huge numbers. Boom. So the tank lost aggro there and swiped me. That's okay. It's really hard to keep aggro as a tank, especially moving around. I know countless times I've died from doing it. So I posted my FTC kind of looking at it for my damage results. It was right around 900. So now if you die at this point in the fight, you're not going to get res. Number one, I'm in the poison, so I can't even get up, otherwise I'd insta-die. Number two, you have to keep moving around as a group. So if someone like me dies, gets cleaved real quick, leave me alone. Keep on moving, stick to the fight. When you want to res someone is after the split. So when the boss gets their little stun on, then you rush away and then you res. Until then, it's not really that necessary. So a couple different mechanics here. The boss is in execute range. Once the boss gets around 25% health, Nightblades can execute, 20% Sorks can execute, and that's usually when our tanks call it. But what you can do is not go down in that next shadowy image. So from this point on, we burn DPS. We don't go down again, everyone on them, and just burn through it. Now, there's a lot of other ways to beat this fight. I don't know what other guilds do, but this is what we found to be most effective. And for some reason, it always takes us 1 or 2 times to get used to the fight. And so you can see that group come over there. They killed the shadowy image, and if you're in that group on below, you really need to get back. So it's usually the off tank's job to res people after coming off of that, and that's what he's trying to do. But he got popcorn on him. So if your off tank goes down, make sure that he or she is the one who reses. I come back up. We're at 20%. Just get right back to it. Oh, watch out, popcorn. I don't know why we call it popcorn. Brick, I think, invented that term. It works. It knocks you up in the air, I guess. I guess we're the little kernels. And then just position yourself back as normal. I am eating popcorn today. Don't be me. It is a pretty fun fight once you get used to it. It's a really good fight to test your DPS and see if you're hitting that 1,000 mark. I am not the full time. I think I'm at 1,000 now, but that's just because it reset my damage meter. But you really want to be 1,000. I got some room to improve, it looks like, on this build, considering that I wasn't. I notice even just watching this, I'm not using my potions off cooldown. That could increase DPS. I could increase it by making sure I have more time on target, by backing up, S-keying it, backing up instead of just looking away. See, like doing that. That's going to increase my DPS. Mantikora is about dead. Boom, big swipe. So half the lair goes down. It's hard to get aggro, and sometimes it just happens. So taunt's a little buggy right now. It's not necessarily the tank's fault. Come on, Manti! I like this fight a lot. It's fun. Oh god, I'm about dead. Healing Springs! Healing Springs! Oh! Yeah! Drop my standard. Come on, Manny! I'm just going to go in heal mode for a little bit since we just can't die. We gotta heal. Alright, so we got heals, I think, in comms. I turned comms off for this video because I wanted to talk to you guys about it. I don't know if you want to listen to the voice interactions. If you do, let me know on the video comments, and I'll let you guys know that. So right there, I died. I wasn't blocking, and so I took a huge damage hit. To be honest, I don't know if that's the tank's fault or if that's mine. It's just one of those things. This boss hit's really hard, and if you don't have a Nova down or you don't have available aids down, people are going to die. And that's the fight. Now that we get that done, we can go loot the little corpse over here. Mantikora doesn't drop that much good gear. It's really the last boss, but most people consider this the hardest fight in Serpent Trials. And so that's kind of how we do it. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Like I said, once again, I'm using my Shooting Star build, which is this. Now the back bar as a restoration staff, it's a little different considering that we need a little more off healing in case I drop down. But it's a fun fight. Get into Serpent and start trying it. If you're a DPS, try to get that 1000 damage meter. And it's some of the best gear in the game, so you really need to get in there with a 12-man group. So this video is Entropy Rising, the guild that I run with. Atropos is the guild leader. He runs a Sork tank, so don't think that you have to be a Dragonknight. And we also had a Templar tank, so no Dragonknight tanks, and I was DPSing. So you can really do it with a different mix of people. Don't always think you have to be the cookie cutter spec. You can really do it good. So I appreciate Entropy Rising, you know, getting me along in the guild and doing all this fun PvE stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I know I loved making it. And I'm going to try to get out the final kill on the Serpent, which is pretty hard fight. So stick tuned for that. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll get some more videos later.